Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Lisa, and I'm thrilled you're here to join us at the beginning of this journey. Before we dive in, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss a thing. For our debut episode, we have a true powerhouse of romance, a writer who knows how to deliver intense, emotional romances with a touch of humor and a whole lot of passion. She's a master storyteller with over 30 books published in 17 different countries, spending her days creating extraordinary characters and true love stories against all odds. When she's not battling the keyboard from her home in Norfolk, fueled by a major coffee obsession and a mild crisp addiction, she's collecting craft hobbies and new recipes. She truly has the best job in the world, and we're so thrilled she's here to launch the show with us. So everyone, please sit back, relax, grab that wine, gin, tea, or even a snack, and tune in as we get to know the incredible author that is Pippa Roscoe. So, hi, I am Pippa Roscoe. I am the author of more than 30 books, which surprises me as much as my family and my readers, across category romance, contemporary romance, and more recently, YA romantic thriller. I have been writing as a writer, I would say, for 10 years now. So that's been an adventure. And yeah, Brilliant.
That's me.
So 10 years then. So what were you doing prior to when you said, actually, I'm going to start writing 10 years ago? What were you doing prior to that?
So I think, so I never imagined I'd be a writer.
Mhm.
So this is I had a quite unusual entry into writing because I wanted to be a script editor. At 16 years old, was watching an episode of ER and having never seen a script in my life, got to the end of this amazing episode, and the ending was so bad that I saw myself with a page from a script and a red pen and like just a line through the last 5 minutes of the episode. So I was completely convinced that that's what I was going to do. And I basically worked towards that end. So after my degree and my master's, I applied for work experience at the BBC on a program called Holby City.
Yeah, seen that.
And it was basically kind of, as the most British you could get version of ER at the time.
Yes.
And worked on that show for about 5 years. I was really lucky. I got into the research department and I learned a huge amount about TV, including that it was not potentially the home for me. I loved it. I loved every minute of it, but it was a very hard environment for me. And I would be found reading books on my way into work, on my way out of work. Whenever I was, on lunch, I'd be reading and reading. It was just bizarre because I spent my whole time trying to get into TV, and there I was reading books instead of TV. So I think someone kind of basically said, "I think you might need to be in publishing," and gave me a kind of bit of a nudge. And I thought to myself, around that time, I had started to write a book, and it wasn't supposed to be a book. I'd basically kind of fallen into this story that I wanted to write for my niece and my nephew. And it was a story. It wasn't a book. It was never going to be published. It was just this kind of like, oh, I have this idea and I could write it as a kid's book for them. And just sort of the story then unspooled in my mind into this sprawling 120,000 word manuscript that would be the first of a trilogy that I would never go on to finish. But it was just kind of, I didn't realize how much I was accidentally writing.
Yeah.
And it was all the time. It was mornings, it was evenings. And I was, at the same time as I was applying for kind of work in various different industries. And that's how I ended up working, getting a job at Mills and Boon.
Ah, okay.
Which I was really, really lucky to kind of like find my way to them. I'd sent them my CV to apply for work experience, and actually they called me and was like, "Actually, we've got a job opportunity opening. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yes, please." And then I spent 5 years working with the most incredible talents in the romance writing industry.
Yeah.
Like I was working with incredible authors. I was working with an amazing publishing team, all of whom just completely championed romance as, as it should have been, as it should be championed.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
learned a huge amount about structure, about stories, about revision.
Mhm.
And I think this of all of the things that I learned, kind of actually the editing process and understanding how revisions work
Yeah.
has been the biggest benefit to me as an author.
Yeah,
Um,
so when you were working there then, were you writing? Like, were you actually working on books, or did you
no,
kind of wanna hone your
really,
skills first and just learn some of the tips and tricks?
yeah, no, it's really funny. I completely forgot that I was writing. Like I wasn't, like I stopped that the fantasy stopped. I
Yeah.
did write it. I did write a first draft. Yeah, 120,000 words, not wasted. Um, But no, I loved working for the team. I loved it. I just put all thoughts aside of writing. I was
Yeah.
completely consumed by kind of editing and
Yeah.
working with everyone I was working with, which was really amazing. And I had a fantastic time for 5 years. It was really, really amazing. And then, sort of lifestyles changed. I was living in London as a single person with a mortgage on my own, with a salary that was not, you know, was probably competitive for the time, but not really catered towards London life.
Yeah.
Um, and my niece and my nephew were getting older, and I was missing my family. And I thought, actually, I think there's a different work-life balance for me out there, and that's
Mhm.
that's kind of how I moved to Norfolk. So me, as my proper South Londoner who never thought she'd leave, found a little cottage in Norfolk. Still in South. I'm still South Norfolk, south of the river. Um, and so the writing for me wasn't. I didn't leave my job to write. I decided that I was going to write because it would be supporting a new lifestyle for me, which had a better work-life balance,
Yeah.
which is a very different way into
Yeah.
writing. And so at the same time, I had an idea for a story that would have been suitable for what in America is called the Present series and what in the UK is called the Modern series,
Mhm.
for Mills and Boon, and I couldn't get it out of my head. I just couldn't, and I wanted to tell this story like 24. Do you remember 24 with Kiefer
Yes.
Sutherland?
Yeah.
I wanted to tell a Mills and Boon like a modern romance in 12-hour-long chapters so
Yeah.
that you can read
Okay.
it in kind of like loosely real time. I don't know. I don't know how successful it actually comes across. It was my first book. I haven't reread it. I'm not sure I'm willing, ready to do it. Um, but I thought, well, I had it written. So when I left, I was like, you have a read of that and let me know whether that's something that you consider publishing.
Yeah.
And, I had to go through exactly the same process as everyone else. I waited 7 months, for
Wow.
kind of, feedback. And
Yeah.
in the meantime, I was doing freelance work um, and then got revisions, which I was deeply thankful for and incredibly grateful for. And I was like, I'll do them right away. Sort of completely desperately like, get them done, take it back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and very, very happy they offered me a contract, which was really exciting.
Yeah. So
And
ma so kick-started your career then 10 years
yeah,
ago.
and I think it was one of those things where I might not have consciously thought about getting myself here, but I got myself there to where I
Yeah.
needed to be.
Yeah.
Um, because I think one of the things that I realized about writing kind of quite early on from that point
Yeah.
is how much happier I am when I'm writing. Like mentally, I feel just so much more kind of, I don't know whether it's my brain, I don't know, it's just how I work, but I feel just so much better when I write.
Yeah.
So when it comes to kind of like, why am I writing? Because one of the things that I was always incredibly focused on as an editor and as a writer is what is the purpose of your writing?
Yes. Yeah.
And to be brutally honest about it, because if it's financial, then that will determine how you go after that goal. Or if it's, I just have this wonderful story I want to tell, then it also opens up the avenues of where you can get it published, that you don't have to go
Yeah.
down. necessarily a financially viable route. So to me, it's always really important before you do anything. So when people kind of come up to me and go, "Oh, I've got a story," and I'm like, "Okay, but why? First of all, why?
Yeah.
What's the end goal?"
Yeah.
And then I'll listen, and then you can tell me about your story. But yeah, which I find ironic because obviously I didn't have an end goal when I started doing this. It was
Yeah,
the
but
completely
then
other way around.
maybe that took the pressure off a little bit that, I think sometimes,
Mm.
you know, aspiring authors out there have this image in their mind that they're going to get published, they're going to become the best-selling, author in the New York Times or something like that, and that's a little bit unrealistic, right? Because it's so competitive out there that even to get an agent or to get published, and I think that's why we've seen an increase of indie publishing now, is that a lot of people want to get their stories out there, but through maybe some of their own challenges or obstacles that they've faced, it's an easier way of doing it versus trying to get published and get your voice out there a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it's quite hard because I think as women, and I do mean predominantly women who are writing
Yeah.
romance, who are and that I don't mean to be essentialist at all in any way, shape, or form, or exclusatory in any way, shape, or form, but traditionally we don't. It's we don't like talking about money. I mean, whack
No.
that into being English as well. I mean, that's just a double whammy. Can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't like talking about money. And also, it's not in publishers' interest for us to talk about money because that gives the game away. Um, but I think it's really important for a lot of authors to, if not know, at least be aware that there's a good chance that it could be 3 or 4 years before you are earning anywhere near enough
Mm,
money to do it full time. I was still doing freelance work for the first 3, if not 4 years, I think. And that's after being published.
yeah.
Because of the way that you receive royalties, even if you get an advance, and actually a lot of publishers these days are removing kind of or lowering their
Okay.
advance and
Yeah.
potentially seeing the royalties as compensation instead.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, like organisations like the RWA in Australia, which is
Yeah.
a fantastic organisation. The speakers there are very good at being, honest and open
Mhm.
about kind of earnings and earning expectations.
Yeah.
And with the retail, so this is sounding very business and very serious and very doom and gloom, and that's not what I want it to be.
It's good to have an insider, view. I think a lot of people don't know this, and especially if they're starting out and they're thinking about submitting their work to an agent or a publisher, it's helpful for them to understand, like you said, like
Yeah.
what's the reason behind it. Because if someone thinks they're going to be able to, quit their full time job tomorrow and become a full time author, there's got to be some realistic expectations there as well, right? As in, you're probably not going to
Yeah,
make
and I
money for the first few years.
Yeah, and I think I think also it's a very interesting time in terms of um income and royalties. Yeah, so I've had a contract so I've got 2 traditional publishers at the moment. No, 3 traditional publishers. Sorry, I've got so many publishers, I just don't know where to. No, that is ridiculous. But there's so many opportunities because independent publishing or self-publishing with someone like Amazon,
Mm,
it opens access and opportunities to people who would potentially have really quite struggled maybe to get their foot in the door traditionally. And I think that's wonderful. But as ever with a very, very wide and rapidly increasing market, it does make attracting those precious sales a little bit harder.
yeah, yeah. And that, I mean, how? Because I mean, you started 10 years ago, right? So I think about social media today, and a lot of it, people are trying to build their followers
Yeah.
up because
It's
if they've got a
vastly
strong,
different.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
it's a very different world, isn't it? And I mean, how? mean, you're more established now, so how do you use social media to kind of market yourself in that way,
Oh
or
god, I'm
do you not?
terrible. I'm absolutely terrible at this. This is absolutely my failing. So I remember when I first joined Mills and Boon, they had to ask me to get a Twitter account,
Yeah.
and that was 2011. So it was really kind of like quite early. Twitter was there, but like in comparison to like how it's been and gone,
Mhm.
and I'm not a pro Twitter person, so um, I look at the kind of the history of social media. I am a bit of a technophobe,
Mhm.
so I will happily watch Instagram reels about cats crafting, knitting, sewing, and female comedy all day long, but I find posting on it quite painful and
Yeah.
stressful. So I am actually really bad at that. And there's a part of me that wants to be the kind of traditional antisocial author, which is just, I just want to write my book. I want to send it
Yeah.
in. I want it to be accepted, and I want everyone else to do the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
Um,
do you feel the pressure then at all from,
oh,
your
absolutely, absolutely. Like
yeah.
I've heard a range of responses about, from publishing houses and editors about kind of the social media, the importance of social media or
Mm,
your social media imprint. And I've heard people specifically look for authors with a following of X or,
yeah.
Y, and like a certain number. And I'm like, well, that's okay because that doesn't align with my values, and I know what my values are, and I know how important that is to me and my creativity, and
Yeah.
that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
but obviously, I'm aware that I'm in a privileged position to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Um, However, if it was something that I desperately wanted, then I would have to kind of be like, okay, I'll go out and do the work and get the Instagram following or the book talk or whatever. Like, maybe that
Yeah.
is bit of a pattern of where we're seeing things go. But I also feel like the editorial content stands up.
Mhm.
Like it is, it is about, like I said, what you want out of it. Do you want
Yeah.
money? Do you want your book on a shelf that your friends can go and buy?
Mhm.
All of these are completely respectable
Yeah.
goals to have. There is no judgment coming from me whatsoever. Like if your goal is just to see your book on one shelf one time in your entire lifetime, or if your goal is to sell 1 million copies and it doesn't matter if you have a book on a shelf, or if you just want to write a book and actually it doesn't have to have your name on the cover, it doesn't matter. As
Yeah.
long as you know what that goal is for you and you pursue that goal authentically and
Yeah.
like the way that you need to, then yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy for you and we'll cheer that on.
Yeah, and I think there's people out there who they like to have that following and they can market themselves, but it's very time consuming as well, right? You've got to have the commitment and
Yeah.
you've got to be vulnerable because it's a place that can be really positive, and there's also another dark side to it, right? That you've got
Yeah.
to be quite careful about how you interact with individuals.
Yeah.
I think you know if you look at something like Instagram, the the author world is quite nice, right? I don't really see too many negative reviews or comments. Everyone's quite positive and friendly, and I think that's lovely. There's probably some people out there that aren't that way, but yeah, it's almost a job in itself to promote yourself on social media now that there's so many different platforms to market yourself
Yeah.
on as well, and it's an
And I
upkeep
think if you,
obviously to reply to people and to constantly know what's the new thing that's happening out there that I've got to go and join. So I actually quite like that you maintain that. Well, I love
oh, I'm
my
terrible at
writing.
it. I do what I can because I think, when it comes to supporting, my books or authors or fellow authors' books or books that I like and have read, or there's like, for example, the series, The Climate Club that I've written with Amy Andrews, Rachel
Yeah.
Stewart and Claire Connolly. Like I will do my bit because absolutely that supports the series as a whole.
Mhm.
But if I had a choice, no. It would just be I'd spend that time sewing or
Yeah.
knitting or cooking, failing miserably, messing up my kitchen and having to clean it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice though. That's quite, authentic, right? And I think it's nice to and refreshing to hear that. So when you think about your writing, who or what inspires you to write what you write?
um, that's a really good question because I think I find inspiration there's kind of inspiration has there's sort of two levels to that question. Is it someone who inspires me to work on my work and my body of work, or is it someone, or is it actually the inspiration for the book?
So it could be both, right? So in terms of let's go for the latter, right? So if you think about, yeah, who inspires you, or what inspires you to actually write the books that you write, the the story that you come
Yeah.
up with, who
So
or what does that?
I think that comes from life every day. What, kind of a conversation you overhear at a coffee shop, or like a snippet of a TV show or an advert. For me, it will be an interesting dynamic between two people, or it will be something that incites a really powerful emotion, either on the format that I'm watching, so either on a TV show or,
Yeah.
you know, and then my brain will be like, how would I do that? What happens next? And then it just unspools from there. It's like this series of questions that looks like a chaotic flowchart that's like, would you A, do this, or B, and would you go down there and, like, turn to page 72 if you want to roll dice, or,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a kind of chaotic, and that's kind of how the story will capture my attention.
Yeah.
Or it will be I was in a spa with some friends and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is the opening of my next book. Has to be. It's gonna be amazing." Um, and that, um, yeah, it's TV. I watch a lot of TV, ironically, now that I'm writing, as I've done this flip. When I was in TV, I was reading, and now I'm
Yeah.
and I watch a lot of Korean dramas,
Okay.
K-dramas, mainlining that like there's no tomorrow. There's so many. Like, it's just and I really am fascinated by narrative structure. This is when I sound a little bit geeky. And anything that kind of plays with that format.
So I mean, in terms of like, we've spoken about kind of what inspires you, who inspires you. I mean, who's your number one supporter?
Whoa, that's a really good question. Who's my number one supporter? Oh, I don't know. Isn't that really funny that I don't have an answer for you on that one?
Would you say if you had to, would you say family, friend?
I think my family don't get what I do. I mean, like, they do to a point. My mum has got all of my books,
Okay.
and love her, but she's not traditionally a romance author.
Okay. Okay.
And her first comment, the first thing she said to me when she read the first book, was, "Oh, I thought it was actually quite good, and the grammar was fantastic." And I said, "Yes, that's because there was a copy editor, mum. Grammar wasn't mine. That's why it was so good." Um,
I love how she's so surprised as well. It's like,
Oh no, historically, everyone understands that my spelling and my grammar is absolutely appalling, like absolutely appalling. That's one myth about writing. You don't have to be able to spell. I mean, it does
okay,
help, and
okay, that's good.
I
I'm
do
gonna,
try
yeah,
and make it better. But yeah, no, I am a copy editor's nightmare. Um, I, th- but I think there's such a romance as a genre gets a bit of a hard time.
yeah,
And people don't, and it's very personal.
it is. Yes,
Your
yeah,
preferences on what you will read as a romance reader, as we know.
yeah,
But people who don't necessarily read romance don't understand it because it's been
yeah,
maligned so much and denigrated so much and belittled for so long.
yeah.
When even my uncle was like, "When are you going to write a proper book?" Like, 30 books
Yeah.
and selling over 1 million copies worldwide isn't enough.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you said that they
Um,
just don't get it, but we're seeing more and more books, be adapted into movies now as well, right? So I think
that's great, but it's like they're still romance movies, there's still that kind of, if I, the YA, which is a romantic
yeah,
thriller, has got kudos because there's a dead body in it. Like
okay.
it's sorry, I'm certainly not bad in my family, and they
No,
haven't been
no, no,
incredible.
it's
Sorry, mom. Um, but it's one of the things is, any romance writer will tell you is how it's received by people is not, it's not respected in the same way.
okay.
And when it's not, and when it's not a section in Waterstones,
Mm,
it's not even a separate section in Waterstones. They don't have a romance section in the
yeah,
same way that they have a crime section
yeah,
or a YA section or a children's section or a cookie book section or a fiction or non-fiction or contemporary fiction.
yeah.
They even have a book talk table, but they don't have a romance section.
It's crazy, isn't
So,
it?
you know, and when it's something like the fourth biggest selling genre across the whole board
Yeah,
in the world, it's you're still fighting against that kind of the backlog of history against the romance industry. Well,
yeah.
yeah, industry, I guess. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Again,
around that
I'm
then
not bringing it down. Sorry.
yeah, we have to say, those of you who are aspiring authors, keep doing what you're doing. It's not all
It
bad.
is. I will say there's nothing like writing romance, and there's nothing like the romance community.
Yeah.
The women and sorry, the authors that I've met across the board are some of the most powerful, determined, intelligent, socially aware, empathetic people. Because you have to be to write what we write.
Yeah.
You have to understand, and you have to absolutely genuinely know and believe that in love and hope and
Mm,
happy ever afters in a non giggly way, you know.
yeah.
She says giggling, but no, yeah.
So, I mean, what are some of the challenges or obstacles that you've faced being an author? And if you look back over the past 10 years?
Um, I think it's funny because, like, for me, it's the ability to kind of get up and put the words on the page and and um is the kind of self-motivation and determination when you're feeling a bit tired or
Mm,
when you're feeling a bit, hormonal and the perimenopause hits and you start feeling self-doubt and you still get up and you still put the words on the page.
yeah.
I think is that because writing can be quite a solitary experience,
Hmm.
and a process. But having a really good group of writing kind of buddies or a writing community is the only way you're going to keep your sanity. So I have some friends that I write with online
Hmm.
twice a week,
Okay.
and I have friends that I meet up with, and we're all writing different things, but they get it. They absolutely get it, and it's also, again, it comes back to that, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
What's your end goal? And that makes it worth it. And finding moments of achievement
Yeah.
and celebrating the wins. Um, but it's really funny because um, I I did want to talk about one thing about, like, one of the struggles about being a writer, and it's when you sorry, my brain is a little bit scatty at the moment because I'm about to come down with a really bad cold. So
Oh,
I'm trying to,
no.
when you're like, it's a head cold. I don't sound it, but it's
Yeah.
coming. It's coming to me. Um, but um, I wanted to say that quite often, people, when they're struggling, or when they don't have a contract, or when they've got writer's block, or when they're burnt out, and they feel like they're not writers because they haven't written anything for a while, or their book isn't under contract, or they wrote one word or they haven't written for 2 weeks. And the kind of the mythology around writing as something that only exists when you're doing it is so bizarre to me, because I'm a writer when I'm doing the washing up
Hmm.
and I'm thinking through my story idea. I'm a writer whether I'm waiting on revisions or whether I'm out of contract. I'm still a writer. And I think it's the difference between writer being who you are as
Mm.
opposed to kind of just being what you do.
Yeah, that's good.
And a lot of the other thing, and the other thing about it is because people don't see writing as doing as a serious job,
Yeah.
quite often it'll be very hard to protect your boundaries and be like, no, I'm writing. It's like, oh yeah, I know, but actually I need something picked up and I can't get there. Would you mind? And it's that kind of the idea that you can write anytime and anywhere. And actually
Mm.
that's really not the case. Like I can't. I can only write at certain times. So I've had to
Yeah.
start saying to like certain people like, oh no, I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting. And instantly it's like, oh no, of course not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course you can't go and get X, Y, and Z for me. You can't go and do this. It's like, but if I'm writing and it's like, oh, but yeah, but I really needed to.
Yeah.
And
It's a great
so I
point.
think that there's this whole kind of like, so it was a bit of a sprawling mess. But because people have such different views about what writing looks like,
Mm.
and because we ourselves have different views of what writing looks like, I think that's one of the struggles that a lot of people face when they write full time,
Mm.
because it doesn't look like being in an office job and taking meetings. Yet that time has to be guarded like it, otherwise you'll lose your concentration or your focus or your thing. And you have to take it that seriously. And then that's how other people will take it seriously too. But
Mm.
but the thing that upsets me the most when I speak to authors who are struggling is that question of, I don't feel like a writer. And it's so ingrained with imposter syndrome, and it's so ingrained
Yeah.
with our sense of self and identity. And I just really feel like I just want to reassure everyone, if you're writing, it doesn't matter whether you're walking your dog or you haven't written for 3 weeks or 3 years. If you haven't ever finished a book, you might never finish a book, but you're still a writer because you've got a story to tell. And that story is happening in your head and it's being told and you're thinking about it. And the moment you're thinking about it, you're working.
Yeah.
So you are a writer.
I love that.
Um, so that was
That's yeah, that's
my
great.
little rant.
No,
Overdone
I
with.
love it because I think, yeah, you put so much pressure on yourself and I think some people even, um, they think they have to be published to be a writer, right? And so I love what you just
Mm.
shared there because it's just bringing it back to normalizing it that, yeah, just what you're thinking, what you're writing, doesn't matter who you're doing
Going
it
through that
for.
process.
Might be that you never wanna be published, it might be you just write for yourself, and that's
Exactly. And I think that's really important. It doesn't make you any less of a writer.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so you mentioned a community there. So how have you built your community? Like, you've met numerous amount of authors, globally.
Mm.
How did you start building out your network and your community that you have today?
I think I was very lucky having come from editing
Mhm.
for Mills and Boon, because obviously I've worked with, like probably over the 5 years, upwards of 40, 50 authors. Sometimes not all at once. There's a significant amount of authors all at once, but not all at once. Um, and then coming into a publishing company like being published by Mills and Boon,
Mhm.
was, I mean, it was a bit of a strange transition to go from one side of the fence to the other. But it was, I was welcomed with open arms by the authors, which was lovely. And so I was really lucky in the sense that I didn't sort of almost have to kind of find my way in. I was already there and was
Mm.
very lucky. And from there, I sort of found my way to conferences around the UK, around the
Yeah.
world, so Australia and America. Um, and yeah, the RWA Australia, best conference ever. Like,
Yeah.
best romance conference ever,
It is,
best
isn't it?
feeling.
Yeah.
It's like it's literally it's really hard to explain to people that haven't been there. And
Yeah.
obviously, like, you don't also there's moments in there that you don't wanna ruin for other people who haven't gone yet because you want them to experience those for the first time. The Australians are the most rambunctious, fabulous, welcome with open arms, passionate, determined, take no shit, deal with it, like, group of women, and I fucking love them. They're
Yeah.
great. And they if you were ever feeling remotely insecure about where your position is, they will be your cheerleaders, like, and
Yeah.
they won't even know your name.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They're really amazing, and, yeah, you talk about what gives me inspiration is that lot.
Yeah.
They're amazing because you get swept up in this amazing sense of energy and positivity, but also professionalism.
Mhm.
They've got very, very, very good sense of professionalism. So yeah,
Yeah.
I said, and there are lots of writing organisations out there, and it may be that you have to try a few before you find the one that suits you most.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a community out there online for you one way or the other. And I think the other thing is if you can't find it, start building it.
Yeah, exactly. And I
You
think
know?
it's great that we have technology today, right? Because as you were
Yeah.
saying, you're connected with authors in Australia, you could be
Yeah,
connected
and
with
America.
America. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. We're very lucky that we can
Yeah.
chat online, you can video conference, and then when you get the opportunity to meet them in person, it feels like you've known them forever, right? Because 'Cause you've built
Yeah.
that friendship and that network and that community. Um, and
And
yeah,
it is because they will understand the struggles that you go through.
yeah,
They
yeah.
really will. Like, when I try and tell my family what I'm like when I'm waiting for revisions or what I'm like when I get revisions, they're like, "Oh, yeah, but it's, you get used to it, don't you?" And I'm like, "You never, ever get used to it. You never get used to that moment when you read through a set of revisions and you'll be like, 'Okay.'" But only other authors will get that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. So, couple other things I'd love to know is, if you could co-write a book with anyone, who would it be?
So I kind of feel like I've done it.
Okay.
I kind of feel like I've done it. I think, so the Karma Club was a really fantastic project. So there, I got to write. So they're 4 books. We've
Yep.
all the 4 authors have written one book. So we've written our own books, but they're all part of the same series. So if you think about it, it's a bit like First Wives Club
Yeah.
meets Strangers on a Train.
Yeah.
So four women meet at an airport getting snowed in one Christmas on the way home for Christmas, and they bond over prosecco and cupcakes and their horrible exes, and they all get really drunk, and they basically decide to take revenge on each other's ex. And so I got to write with Amy Andrews, Rachel Stewart, and Claire Connolly, and I feel like that was just amazing. It was just really, really cool to kind of brainstorm
Yeah.
the crossover points because quite their books, kind of 3 of the books almost happen at the same time. They kind of happen very short succession.
Okay.
So there's lots of crossover points where our characters meet and they have text message conversations and Instagram, and like WhatsApp messages basically.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just so much fun, like being able to kind of plan those and have those exchanges and put them in and kind of get so much enjoyment out of writing with that, like 3 other fantastic like writers.
Yeah.
And then like, I felt like I had to up my game because like, they're impressive authors. I was like, "Are you sure you want me to join?" But, like, it's fun, it's sexy,
Yeah.
it was and at points silly in the best way. So I just feel really honoured to have been able to be part of that. It's published with Boldwood Books, who are a UK company, and it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, really,
That's
really good
that's
series.
amazing that you can do that, and I can only imagine, like, the the background that had to kind of happen
Oh my
to
god, the
even yeah.
the video calls between the 4 of us, like, working out Australia and UK time, essentially. Like, some of us I'd be sitting there with a coffee and someone else would have, like, a glass of prosecco,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, "I'm waking up." Um, No, it's so much fun and joyous, just
Yeah.
absolutely joyous. And I think actually that really shines through in the books as well. Like you can tell we had a lot of fun writing them.
Has that been done before? Like, have like different authors come together to kind of share like a story that's intertwined?
Yeah, so I think probably more seen in sort of like Mills and Boon.
Yeah,
So in category romance, you will have seen it.
yeah,
Publishers, so Harlequin, Mills and Boon, will have done what we used to call a continuity. So it's like 12 books written by different authors, but all with an overarching storyline.
yeah,
And they were like, I loved working on those books. It was like, it was just my favorite part of the job. So yes, Mills and Boon have done it, but I think because that's category romance and it's not being seen in sort of what we call trade, longer
yeah,
length
yeah.
romance, but these are 80,000 word novels a piece. And yeah, no, just really fun. And I'm really, really glad that Boldwood got behind us the way they did. It's been fantastic.
Oh, brilliant. And if you could choose any of your books to be turned into a movie, who would you cast as the lead role?
Oh my God, I'm so bad at this question. And do you know why? It's really weird. I get like character blindness.
Okay.
It's really weird. So if you read any one of my first
Yeah,
drafts, it will look like an interior design porn mag. Like it will be so detailed on this exquisite claw tooth bar, you know, the bath that has like amazing, like I
yeah.
go to town on descriptions about the setting, the kitchen, the four-poster bedroom, where the ensuite is, and the hero and heroine will just have like hair color. And my editors will be like, can you put a bit more information about what your characters look like? So there's a one scene, and I think it's slightly also heavily influenced by my DIY at the time.
Yeah,
There was one book where the hero lived in this kind of sort of brutalist concrete kind of decor home, and he's having an argument with his very inconvenient, very new wife. And she's like, "You never tell me anything, and all I know about you is that you just like concrete." Because I've just spent like 40,000 words describing a concrete mansion. So there's always a part in my second draft where I have to go in and put like the physical character
okay.
descriptions of the heroine, which is why I always find kind of questions about who I would cast really
Yeah,
hard because I don't see them
okay.
in the same way. I kind
Yeah,
of I feel them and I understand the kind of emotional dynamics, but when I'm visually kind of blocking a scene in my head,
mhm,
they're just figures and everything else is which is really fascinating.
yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Well, I saw on when I was reading like your bio and things, I saw that you are a big coffee addict. So I
Yes.
have to ask you, do you prefer Australian coffee or UK coffee?
So Australian coffee is good.
Yeah.
Australian coffee is really good. Um, but I've got a line into some guys that do coffee from Bury St Edmunds, so I kind of
Okay.
I get my coffee from there, and I kind of grind it up and
Yeah.
make myself coffee. So
Is it
I mean,
just as
but
good
yeah,
or is it better?
it's really hard. It's really hard. And also, like, I've got like literally spots around London that I go to when I visit London, and I'm like, Monmouth coffee, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Can't argue with that. Um, but I feel like you get more good coffee places in Australia.
Yeah, there's more to choose from, right? I think just
More to
there's so
choose
much
from.
competition, so they have to be good. Otherwise, no one's going there.
Yeah, because also like I don't want to get into bad mouthing any particular chains because I can get myself into hot water, but like burning coffee, I think is sacrilegious, and a lot of chains burn their coffee
Yeah. Yeah.
by overheating it, and that's going to make me sound like such a
Well,
coffee snob.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of like the training that they have to go through. I know in Australia they actually have to do a barista course, so they're physically
Yeah,
trained and they have to get a certificate. I don't know if they have to do that in the UK, so I'm not going to say they do or
no,
they
I mean
don't. But
it's a bit weird. Like the worst one I had was some guy who refused to heat my coffee up because he didn't want to burn it, and I was like, "But you've already put the milk in, love.
yeah,
Like, check yourself." Sorry. I was like, don't mess with me and my
No, I
coffee.
know how I want my coffee. Just make it the way I want it. Don't answer
I'm
back.
planning to
Just
sit
do
here
it.
for like 3 hours with this coffee. It has to be hot to start with. It can't be lukewarm.
Oh, what's your favorite snack? When I mean, I don't know. You might not have a snack when you buy it. What I saw that you loved crisps, so I was like, is that your
Yeah.
favorite snack when you are
I
writing, or is there something else?
Because I write first thing in the morning, like I don't actually snack when I eat.
Yeah.
I'll snack when I edit because I get like anxiety and I have to eat, have to eat through my discomfort. Um, yeah, I'm a massive crisp fan. I'm a huge prawn cracker fan.
Okay. Okay.
Massive prawn cracker fan.
Like prawn
I
crackers
have
from the Chinese, or
yeah,
okay.
yeah, or from like the supermarket wherever. Like so, prawn crackers and poppadoms.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
also because I have a really annoying intolerance to yeast. This is really
Uh,
that weird
yeah.
aside, but they put yeast extract into a lot of flavors of crisps to give you that kind of like
Ah,
moreish film. So
yeah.
if you ever see a woman looking slightly harassed in a supermarket in Norfolk, looking at the back
Mm.
of crisp packets, it's possibly me, which is, but yeah. So I tend to stick to things that are quite simple. So yeah, prawn crackers and poppadoms
They
are
are a
very,
good
very
choice. I do love poppadoms with,
unprocessed.
with the mango chutney, and yeah,
Exactly.
it's a good call. Um, so you just mentioned that you write in the morning. So you more of an early bird or a night owl?
Yeah, definitely an early bird. I have probably an unhealthy routine when I'm writing, like in terms of like my physical day.
Yeah.
But I will get up, go have a shower, have my coffee. I will take my coffee and I will sit straight down at the computer and I will try and get to a word count, and then I have to kind of balance that word count because I learned very early on that if I extend beyond a certain word count a week, my creativity plummets. Like it's like a tolerance, like this is how much I can produce.
Yeah.
And I know that it's very different from every author. So I know that I have a kind of that's my capacity and I
Hmm.
have to spread that out a little bit so I don't get too tired. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
but I try and do it first thing in the morning because I find it easier to there's less that's to distract me
mm, yeah. Yeah.
and that I
You've
go
got more
straight into that.
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you could write anywhere in the world, where would you do it from?
I would be writing on the balcony of an all-inclusive hotel looking out over the Mediterranean.
Ugh.
And the reason I say that is because at an all-inclusive hotel, I don't have to wash up, I don't have to feed my like I can literally I'm basically being fed, cleaned, and I have a gorgeous surrounding. So that's my dream writing. You know, that's completely uninterrupted dream writing time.
That sounds bliss, doesn't it? Because I think, yeah, remove all the everyday, you know,
Yeah.
duties that we have to do, and you can just
Yeah,
have
and
that
I
dedicated time to be
yeah,
inspired.
I do that as much as I can, like, for at least a chunk of writing for whatever book I'm working on, I would love to be able to kinda go away and take myself out of my home because there's
Yeah.
always washing to be done, there's always hoovering, clean the bathroom. I mean, I say that, it's not like I'm actually very good at doing that, like, I'll feel like I have to, and that'll distract me from writing, but I won't actually go and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. We always put them off, like, trust me, I'm exactly the same. It's like, "Okay, I have to now physically do this, otherwise my house is just gonna get more and more untidy," and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the state of my house by the time I finished the first draft of a book is feral, and there's no two ways about it. It's just very, very bad.
You just be like, "I've got a job to do, that's my excuse."
Yeah, yeah. I will not clean anything until I finish my workout.
Um, and last question, if you could give a piece of advice to the aspiring authors, to the, established authors, what would be your piece of advice that you'd give them?
I think I think it would be keep going because I think the first book is it sounds ridiculous. It's not easy. Nothing is no book is easy. Um, but it's like only you can put one word after the next word after the next word, and only you can write that story. So, you know, when it gets hard and when you're a bit tired and you're a bit kind of like, why am I doing this?
Mm.
And you do it because you can't not, actually. You do it because if you're like me, you're mentally happier when you're writing. So
Yeah.
you just keep going. Like the doubt will come hormonally, age related, financially, emotionally. It will just keep going, because when you come through it on the other side and you've got all of the words strung together, it's absolutely worth it. It's like nothing. There's no other job like it.
Ah, great. Yeah,
It's worth the hard. It's worth it. So keep going.
great advice. Great
And
advice.
also because I think we all could do with a little bit more love in this world, and if that comes with another romance book, then, you know, it's even better.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So where can people find you? Obviously, you are on social media.
I am reluctantly.
People
Please like my
find you
posts. They might make me post more. So I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
For my sanity, I had to stay away from TikTok because I downloaded it on my phone once and then didn't. And the next time I looked up, it was 4 hours later, and I was like, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea."
You go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. So Instagram and Blue Sky. I'm on
Okay.
Blue Sky as well. So yeah,
Right.
and my website,
And your
which is
website.
pipparoscoe.com.
Thank you all so much for listening to the podcast. I really hope that you enjoyed hearing Pippa's story. Now, where can you find Pippa? She mentioned that she's on Instagram, she's on Blue Sky, and you can go and check her out at her website, www.pipparoscoe.com. Hope you enjoyed. Remember to click the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks. Bye.